This is how I'm quitting social media as someone with ADHD, and watch the end because I have practical tips on how you can do it too without going insane. Let's get started. Welcome back, and a big welcome if you're new here. My name is Gaia, and I'm an ADHD coach and specialist, and I give you long-term natural solutions to your ADHD, so you can say adios to your ADHD symptoms, because that is the life I am living after being diagnosed about 2.5 years ago, trying meds, trying all the systems, the strategies and hacks, and they work to an extent, but I always felt trapped by my ADHD, and now I don't even resonate with ADHD anymore. My life is really, really quite simple and blissful, and I show you how to have that as well. Now, there was no video last week because I was on vacation, camping, and disconnecting from social media and tech, which was unintentional. Which brings me to today's video, how I'm gonna quit social media and practical tips of how you can too, which I'm gonna give to you at the end. So I wanna start off just with my camping trip, how this all came to be and why I'm moving in this direction, all the thoughts, all the fears that came to mind, and how you can work through those as well, and then some practical tips for yourself too. But first off, I wanna just put this out there. Because I'm quitting social media, make sure you hit subscribe below, and in the description I also have a link to join my email community. This is how I'm gonna be staying in contact with you all. Plus, I may have another way, but I haven't decided yet how I'll stay in touch with you all fine folks. Okay, let's dive into my vacation. So I went out camping last week, and I love camping, I love being outside, but I feel I end up going camping when I need a break. I need to disconnect, I need to find perspective. And last week, I think I needed that, but didn't know I needed that, because I had full intention to work. I brought my phone, my laptop, even my recording stuff to record a video for you all. And I have a funny story about my laptop, which I'll get to. But brought out the campsite. I knew I had service there. Plus, I could always just go in a cafe because there's towns, few towns close by. I ended up doing absolutely no work, which was beautiful. And what I want you to really hear from this is I had the full intention to do work. So in my mind, that first day especially is like, you should be doing work. Like, you have so much time. Why aren't you doing work? Or at least post to Instagram. And even into like the second day and third day where I'm like, I really had no plans. No hiking plans, no sightseeing plans. I'm like, I'm just gonna hang out at a campsite and just do whatever I feel like. So because there was so much space and nothing scheduled, that voice kept coming up. It's like, you could totally be doing work. You could totally be being productive right now. Or you should definitely be taking photos and documenting this and at least sharing it on Instagram. I share a lot on Instagram, most of like my life on there. Like, it's so easy to do that, and I'd still be growing my business that way, still be connecting with all of you. And that voice, in all the past times that I've taken quote unquote a vacation, would have won out. And I would have been on my phone, even if it was just taking a few photos with the intention of like posting to Instagram later that day. There's very few times I can only think of. One actually, the other time, which was this year, when I took a full week with my family on vacation, didn't do any work, didn't really touch my phone at all. And the camping trip was also the same. So I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard not to do work. But I think it was like the first or second day of my trip, I listened to a podcast episode, and the universe, God bless you, you always deliver the things I need when I need them. It's from one of my favorite podcasts, Pursuit of Bliss. Kristen, she's amazing, love her stuff. She had released an episode of how she was quitting her smartphone. She's like, I'm going back to flip phone. And during, I think, the summer or indefinite period, she's also going off of social media. So listen to this podcast. And that really just like hit me that I can be on this camping trip, which I labeled a vacation for myself, first of all, without doing any work, and let that be enough. Without being on Instagram. And I could even take this a step further and, make this my normal life of not being on social media, and heck, even getting rid of my smartphone. Because sometimes we need to see someone else do that to know that this is even possible. Like, oh my God, they're doing it and they're not blowing up and the world isn't ending. Okay, maybe this is possible for myself. So on my camping trip, I declared it was a vacation. So I was not going to log into any social media. I was not going to record anything for you. I was going to take the time for me. But in the back of my mind, I was in a stunning place. I was like, I should record this. It'd be a great backdrop for a reel or for a photo. Or it's like, I should take these photos and send them back to my friends and family. Like, this is so gorgeous. Or just to take them for myself. From that episode from Pursuit of Bliss, one thing that really stuck with me was that when she got rid of her smartphone, when she realized I didn't have that pull to take all these photos. Because even if you're not logging into social media, it's like the back of your mind, I should, take a photo for my social media. And that takes you out of the present moment and experiencing what's there. Because she went, a step further, got rid of the smartphone, I was like, oh my God, it's not just social media. I was also taking photos for my friends and family for the same purpose. I'm going to get more into that in a bit, but to share these photos almost as a way of like, oh, look at me, look at what I'm doing. From this place of like, I want recognition, I want to be seen, I want praise. It wasn't from a beautiful, loving place. Or taking photos for myself being like, oh, I always want to remember this. But I think back to like the thousands and thousands of photos and videos I have, I'm like, I never really go back to look at them. And when I do, I'm not like, this is fulfilling me in any way. So maybe I can just let go of documenting my trip at all and just take it in and be in the moment. And when that insight came to me, that aha, if you will, I think back to other times I've traveled and taken some more sabbatical type of trips. I'm I guess I had an iPhone, but it wasn't as good as the one I have now. And I just remember being out like hiking or whatnot and remembering so many moments that were not documented. Maybe the way I did document, maybe I wrote, journal a bit on it, but they're just documented in my memory because I was so there, so in the present and taking it all in. So when that all came to me on my lovely disconnected camping trip, it really gave me the hope and belief and courage, which I'm going to share more with you in this video, that I could let go of social media. I could even probably let go of my smartphone. And I would be totally okay. And if anything, it would make my life better. Because the moments I really cherish in my life or remember or have made impact are the ones that I was just so fully in the moment, not seeing it through my screen, even if it was just a quick photo. There was no phone. There was no pull to document that for any person or any need. So if you follow me for a bit, you may know this about me. I love to self-experiment. I run so many experiments because as soon as you call it an experiment, it feels so much more doable, low risk. So I told myself, you know what? I'm camping for 4 days. I can be okay without doing work and be okay without connecting to Instagram and be okay with even messaging people and documenting every moment of it. I was like, let's just see what happened. The world is probably not going to end. So this is what I found. To add, I had no plans for this trip. So there's no things I was, going from one thing to the next to keep me busy and occupied. I remember waking up and not feeling nervous or on edge, or we could say a dysregulated nervous system. I woke up feeling so calm and so grounded. I would make my coffee my breakfast and not, mindlessly eating or, overeating or jumping from thing to thing. I was just so in the moment and enjoying the process, no matter how long it took, and being okay with that. I also found that I wasn't getting bored of mundane things, if you will. Like I would just wander around, I would sit and look at the ocean, I would read a book, and that's another one, rediscovering fiction books and not getting bored within the first 5 pages. I would just sit at the campsite and just stare into space as I ate my food. And I found the pleasure in that. Because I did have my phone, but I also wasn't listening to many podcasts or even much music because, well, my phone would die really quick and I didn't have a solar charger for it. I found I was so much more intentional with everything I did. Like really fell in love with the simple things, like going to the cute little general store and just wandering around and finding the fun in that and just being in it and seeing like, wow, this is really cool. This cute little like old style general store. Like, look at the stuff they have. And then going on another hike by the ocean and not just be like, oh, wow, this is a cool viewpoint and keep on going, but seeing all the colors of the trees, of the shrubs, of the bushes, seeing all the colors of the rocks, the ocean, like really taking all of it in. And yes, I do that sometimes, but it's very much making it like a focus versus this came so much more naturally. Like I found this different sense of bliss, of presence, and I could feel like I was in my authenticity, like who I truly was, not this ADHD brain pinging around, not in my ego of like, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, I should be, going from this thing to that thing or searching for dopamine hits. It was this beautiful, grounded, calming energy the whole time. And the fear of like, if I'm not on social media, I'll be left out. Like I won't be, the FOMO really, I won't be connected to people. They won't know what I'm doing. I won't know what they're doing. I'll feel so isolated. And this I know is just a fear because I survived before social media existed too, and I was just fine. Yes, it enhances so much of my life, but coming back to that realization, finding perspective that I was just fine before it. I mean, the bad thing is that most of the world uses it, so yeah, you are kind of, the odd one out, but I was just fine. And I'm gonna get more into that because that's a key point, that I was just fine without it. See, I found social media enhanced what I already had in my life, what I had within me. So if it was, good things, like it helped me stay connected to people, but I already felt connected to people. I felt connected to myself. Great. But it also enhanced, the not so good things. I'm looking for recognition, for praise, for, assurance. And I go to social media and it's still not giving it to me and I feel worse about myself. Or I'm questioning, my physical appearance and think I don't look, pretty enough to put out a reel. And then I'm checking the likes to see. And it's just making the insecurity I already feel within me worse. The social media enhances or exacerbates what is already there. And as someone with ADHD, this is the same thing where, the overwhelm, the second guessing, the negative self-talk spirals, the constant search for dopamine hits. Social media is just going to exacerbate all of that. Yes, it can enhance the good, but often it's the opposite because we're using it, at least this is true for myself, I was using social media, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, to feel a need that it could never ever fill. For example, we use social media to stay connected. And that's a fair reason. You're like, why would I want to give that up when that's the way I, stay connected with people? But I like to dive super, super deep because this is where we get to the root of what's exacerbating it. This is the same way I approach ADHD symptoms and getting rid of those. It's like, what's the root? Why are we going there? So why am I going to social media? Stay connected. Why do I want to stay connected to people? Well, I want to know what's going on with their lives. I know these people are important to me. I want to share what I'm doing. All great things. Okay, well, what else am I looking for? Why am I opening that app and hitting people's stories again and again and again? Why am I constantly scrolling? Because this is no longer to stay connected. Now I'm searching for something from social media to fill some sort of void. And for me, it was often, well, I'm bored. No, I wasn't bored. As I was trying to distract myself because, I didn't have the confidence to put out a video. So I'm trying to numb that feeling. Or it's like I just want to be seen and heard and be acknowledged. Someone, to give me a compliment. So I'm gonna go to social media and try to talk to people to try and get that, or post something for someone to comment something good. And that's what would often happen. And it will never ever give that to us. It will never give it to myself. The only way to get that is to give it to you first. So for me, that looks like, I do it in a lot of different ways, but it's like, how can I give myself the recognition, the praise? Because no one else can give that to me, and social media definitely can't. But I can write up the things I'm proud of myself for. I can do inner child work and give my little me that's inside me so much love and so much recognition, and tell her how proud of her I am. I can feel that need within myself first. So then I don't need it from social media. I don't need it from anyone else. So when I'm staying connected, I'm truly wanting to stay connected with someone, and I'm curious about what's actually happening in their life. And it's not to feel a need or a void within me. And if you're thinking, okay, great, I know I'm going to social media to search for something, to numb, to avoid, but how in the heck do I feel a need within me? I'm going to get to that in the practical tips at the end of this video. So stay tuned, keep watching. If that doesn't quite make sense, ask yourself this. Have you ever gone on social media and felt better about yourself, felt more fulfilled? And if you did, because I have felt that, what did you do on social media? Were you creating content that you knew would inspire or help or give value, or you're truly connecting with someone? Was it the social media or how you used it? Because like I said, it can enhance what you already intended to do, or it can exacerbate what you're lacking and needing. And I don't want to make a video of how social media affects ADHD, because you know when you go on there, you're like, I am now doom scrolling for like, oh God, was that 5 hours already? And you know that you're going to feel worse about yourself when you're like, oh shit, I don't look like her, and oh, why didn't my post get all these likes? And you know that you're gonna lose track of time. You know that you're gonna second guess your workout plan you just put into place because someone else has a better workout plan. And you know that you're gonna get overwhelmed with all the information you find online about like how to manage your ADHD. You already know those things because you've experienced it. I've experienced it. Right? Social media can enhance, but it can also exacerbate what's already there. And if we're, as ADHDers, prone to overwhelm, prone to second guessing, prone to the over and replanning, prone to the doom scrolling, prone to, the poor time management, if we're prone to all of that, social media is just going to exacerbate it. And I believe once we can zoom out and see that perspective of like, oh shit, look at my track record. Social media has not brought fulfillment, or maybe it has in certain ways, but it just enhanced what was already there, and I can create those feelings, that fulfillment without it. And I was fine before it and the world didn't end. I can be fine without it. And that for me was the biggest thing. Kind of, I guess, what pushed me over the cliff of, I can be okay without this. I can be more than okay. My life probably gonna get a lot better without it. But all that to say, I still have this huge fear of like, okay, well, logistics of my business, like how will people, find me and connect with me? And I use it both personally and in business to stay connected to people. I love seeing what's going on in your life. I love sharing what's going on in my life. Like, how do I do that? And I'm going to share more of the logistics at the end of this video and how you can too. Because what I found was that it's so easy to stay connected with social media. That's why we use it. But when I really went deep and asked myself, I'm like, but do I want to stay connected to all these people? Or am I staying connected because I should? Because, it's easy now to stay connected. And I met all these great people in my life, and it's not that I don't want to be in contact and talk with them. But there's this voice being like, oh, you should, right? You should stay in contact with people. You were friends at one point in time. You're acquaintances, and you're both lovely people. Like, why shouldn't you stay in contact? Because more friends is better. Friends are good. And that's true. But is more better? And if the word should is there, I question it. And previous me would have said, yes, I should stay connected with all these people because it filled the need I didn't feel for myself of, I thought more friends would make me look better, right? Because for so long, or not so long ago, I should say, in my life, I was bullied and didn't have many friends. And all I wanted was to have friends. If I had lots of friends, then to be seen as cool and popular and not alone. But no matter how many friends I had, I still felt those feelings. It was only when I dug really deep and did the inner work to create that sense of self-worth, sense of pride, the confidence, assurance, that I could be completely alone and still feel so whole, to still feel connected, that I didn't need a huge group of friends, which allowed me now to see that I don't need to stay connected with everyone. Like clothes that you outgrow, or just not your style anymore, that's worn out, you can let it go. If it's not sparking joy, you can let it go. So now I know I can just stay connected with the people I want to and be really intentional with those friendships and share what I want to share with them and see what I want to see from their life. And that may mean now for me, not just going on social media and randomly clicking their stories, but to have a phone call with them, to text them like, how are you doing? Tell me what's the latest. Send me a photo of your kid, of like what you did this weekend, and myself as well. And that for me feels so much more fulfilling and blissful than what social media was giving me. So that was the other push that pushed me over the edge. Remember, you can create what you need within you first. Social media can then enhance it, but you don't need it. So back to my camping trip. It was so freaking blissful. And when I got back, I was like, okay, well, back to work, right? Back to reality. And work felt so heavy. So heavy. And I love what I do. I'm literally every day, I'm like, I cannot wait to film for you, show up on Instagram, talk with you all. I freaking love it. It comes really easy for me. But it felt so heavy for me to even open my laptop. But I was like, I need to do a few admin things. I had a video ready to be posted, kind of had to do a few edits and then hit post. I go to open my laptop doesn't work because I had brought it with me camping and I forgot it. I should have took it out of my car. I kind of forgot it was in my car. The car got very hot over multiple days. Yeah, your laptop's not gonna work. So my laptop did not work, which was beautiful. Thank you, universe. I needed that day, I guess a buffer day, transition day, to just come back to life here and just continue on with what I found, experiences, ahas on my trip. My laptop did get fixed in one day. It wasn't too expensive, thank goodness. But it was a beautiful sign of, if it feels heavy, feels like you should question that. Okay, on to the practical tips on how to let go of social media. This is what I've navigated for myself and how you can too if you're feeling called to. Now, I want you to do this with me. So pause the video, go grab pen and paper, and then as we go through these steps, I want you just to pause the video and write what the questions are that I'm going to ask you. And I'll also put them in the description below too. Okay, pause, go grab your pen and paper. Okay, first off, I want you to realize that social media is like a drug. You can stop cold turkey, but it's freaking hard. You're going to have the withdrawal symptoms. Not fun. Like I said before, if you're going to social media, feel a need, as we often are, we need to start to learn to feel those needs first within us. So then when we let go of social media, it's so much easier because we already have the needs met elsewhere. Also, you don't need to quit all social media. Maybe just choose the one that you're feeling victim to the most, or even just stopping for a period of time. And you also don't need to quit at all. You can still use it, but this can help you use it in moderation. There's no wrong answers, whatever feels right for you. And that's the first step, filling the need that we're using social media for. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, when you open social media and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, what negative thoughts or feelings come up for you? Pause and write them down. Second question. So we often use social media to procrastinate or avoid. So what are those things that you commonly avoid or procrastinate on? If you're not sure, when you close social media after scrolling for a while, what comes to your mind when you're like, oh, that was a waste of time. I should have been doing XYZ. The answers to those, the root of them, is the need that needs to be filled. And sometimes it takes a bit more digging work. So you could say, maybe for number one, you're like, oh, I feel guilty after scrolling Instagram. Why do you feel guilty? Oh, because I should have been doing my taxes. Okay, well, why weren't you? It's like, oh, well, they're boring. Really, why weren't you doing it? It's like, oh, because I'm scared to look at my money. I'm scared that, I won't be able to, pay for the tax return I owe. Or I feel ashamed that I don't make enough. It could be a lot of different things for you, but getting to the root of that, and that's what you need to create within yourself. So maybe it's like you are ashamed of your money, and that's some shadow there. And there's different ways I work with clients on going through this, but it can be for you just recognizing, acknowledging it, and be like, I give myself permission to feel this. That's okay that I feel ashamed of it. That is a-okay. And I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to face this fear and do it anyway. And that leads me to the third thing. If you let go of social media or face that fear, what's the worst case scenario? You can use this question for either one. I want you to pause down and write down, what's the worst case scenario if I quit social media? Or my greatest fear comes to life? And how can I be okay? That's a beautiful one to realize. You're perfectly whole and complete and fine without it, right? It can enhance, but it can also exacerbate. Next step is to give yourself permission to let go of social media. Write that out, say it out loud to yourself right now. It's like, I give myself permission to let go of social media. Doesn't mean you have to, but you're giving yourself permission. And that's so powerful in its own. Those questions will help you feel that need that you're going to social media for and give you perspective that you're gonna be okay. Now I want to give you logistics on how to quit social media, because that's a whole other part that I'm still navigating. I love to experiment, as I said. So think of it like getting rid of clothes or some old belongings that you're like, oh, I do love these. The clothes are still in good condition, but I just don't really wear them. They're not really my style anymore, but you just don't want to donate them yet. I literally donated clothes yesterday, so I've gone through this. So you would put those clothes or belongings in a bag or in a box and put them in the back of your closet or in your garage or outside, and just let them be for a period of time, say a month, 2 months, maybe 6 months. Then go back to them. Did you miss them? Are you excited to be like, oh my God, I really want to wear this? Or you're like, oh, didn't even know I had that. I can let that go. Same thing with social media. Pick a period of time. I would say at least a week, but maybe it's just 4 days if that's where you're starting. Remember, the world will not end. It's just an experiment. But pack it away in a box. Delete it from your phone, or at least from your home screen. And just see, okay, let's see how I am. Let's see what happens. Knowing you can always go back to it easily. And when you go back to it, see what you truly missed and, well, what you didn't. For me, I will be keeping my Instagram account, but I won't be on it anymore. Knowing that I can always go back to it if I need, but also knowing that that value that I've created there can still live for people to find. And that's a beautiful thing, but it's not fulfilling my life to be on it. So I'm packing it in a box, I'm letting it go, knowing that I can always come back to it if I need or want. With that said, with my business, how will I stay connected with you? Well, through these videos. So make sure you subscribe because I'm releasing right now 2 videos a week and multiple shorts, and I freaking love connecting with you here. Also, you'll need to join my email community. I'll link that below. You also get my free dopamine detox training, so you'll want that because that is also where I dive deep with you in text format. So make sure you get connected there. And how I'll stay connected in a more casual way that I used to do on Instagram and showcasing my life and getting to know you, that's still to be determined. I'll be using YouTube a little bit more, but I'm thinking of just going back to good old text message. So if you want to text me, that would be super cool. I'm still figuring that out, so maybe drop a comment if that resonates with you, because this is what I love, is getting to know you. And I want to make that in a really fun, casual way. When it's just on video, you just see me and I don't get to see you. So still navigating that, but stay tuned for what I end up deciding. And if you want to quit social media, it is available to you. I'm gonna just step out front and do it, so you can follow my journey on that. And if you're feeling called to quit social media, I'd love to help support you on this. So just comment below if you feel called to that or if you've thought about it. I'd love to hear where your head's at with it. And I'll be taking the deep dive and sharing that with you on here in my email list, and maybe good old text message too. I will see you all next week.